Let me start by challenging a little bit of the conventional wisdom about the universal appeal and good of pursuing your own happiness. Over the last century, and probably well before that, there have been countless books written and videos produced and conversations about what are the things we can do to essentially improve our own lot in life. And while that seems like a worthwhile focus, recent science suggests that pursuing happiness or well-being for yourself might actually take things in the wrong direction. And before I get into what might be a better challenge, let's look at the pursuit of happiness for a minute. If you think about pursuing happiness for yourself, that often results in turning a lot of your attention inward and asking questions about what's happening to you, how other people are treating you, why you might or might not have achieved some of the things that you wanted in life. And while there are often times where you need to focus on those things, what a lot of great psychological research in particular is suggesting is that pursuing happiness for other people instead of yourself might be a much more worthy endeavor. If you think about it for a moment, even when someone is very dejected and struggling and you're having a real tough time in your month or in your life overall, if you focus all of your energy on what's going on with yourself instead of on things that you can do to improve other people's lives or to improve your environment, in some cases that can even exacerbate problems over time. And so I think this is why science is now indicating that we've got to change the proportion of our time. And instead of looking at things that we can do to improve our own lives and improve our own happiness levels day to day, we need to try and find more and more ways to improve the environment around us and to focus on increasing well-being for other people and for society and creating meaning in our lives instead. In fact, a recent study suggests that people who have happiness but lack meaning express a stress-related gene response that may be similar to what occurs when people face adversity and leads to chronic inflammation that over time causes things like heart disease and cancer if they don't have that meaning embedded in what they're doing throughout the day and their interactions with people. The good news is, instead of pursuing happiness for yourself, if you can make time to create happiness and meaning for other people, that results in a far greater return, not just for the other person and the environment, but it's actually the fastest way to pick yourself up. So even if I had a friend who was really struggling and having a tough day, the last thing I would ever recommend is that he do specific things just to try and make himself happy. What's most likely to improve that friend's well-being in a given day is to help him see specific ways that he can go out and do things that make a difference for other people throughout the course of a day. I've seen this in my own life as I've studied more and more research on this topic, that anytime I focus my energy on things that are directed at boosting my own happiness, whether that's going out and buying something or taking time away from a stressful situation just to go out and get some time away on my own outdoors, that those things are nowhere near as likely to improve my well-being or to help other people than efforts that focus on improving the daily lot of another person. This is why almost all of my recent research and the work on the differences between meaning and happiness has focused on what are the things that you can contribute to today that either improve the life of one other person or make a broader contribution to your community, to society, or to an organization that you can feel proud of over time. At the core of meaningful work and efforts on a day-to-day basis is giving and doing things for other people. When you do something that picks up the spirits of a customer, a friend, or a colleague, that deactivates the stress-related patterns that cause chronic inflammation over time. And it also leads to a heightened and elevated state where you feel better about your work, you have more physical energy, and you feel like you can get a lot more done. And that begins to carry forward and cascade to not only your friends and family and your immediate surroundings, but when you're doing things that create meaning for other people, that continues to spread beyond your immediate social network and have an influence that you can't even see over time as it extends to second and third degree connections. So it starts with very simple acts that simply improve the spirits of another person in your next interaction. And if you just experiment with that a little bit and see if you can change the emotional state of one of the next people you interact with today so that it's a little bit better off than when it started, I think you'll see how that begins to pick up your health and well-being and energy in the process. So how can you create more meaning through your efforts in your work right away? What I've learned is a lot of this starts by stepping back and evaluating the span of your day and looking at how much of your time right now do you spend just responding to the demands of the day versus doing things that boost the spirits of another person and create a little meaning. And so if you think about these little small acts, how could you infuse a few more instances in your typical day that are likely to make a difference for the people you serve and the people you care about? And how can you, if you do that a few times a day now, how could that be 3, 4, 5 times a day where not only are you creating meaning for another person, but you notice that and you stop and you pause and you acknowledge that, because we essentially need to compile and roll up and accumulate these small wins in order for it to continue to motivate us so that we can do more the next day and be even more productive.